Welcome back. So we're going to review on the end cap here, put together some boards from various walls, and what we're going to highlight today is differences in variation between different products and how you can discuss that with a customer. So what I have here on the left side is I have 3 white oak products, all ranging in price, actually $10.99 to $12.99, and I would consider these to be in the very low to moderate variation. So this is a natural. This is obviously a light stain or tint done to this, and then down the bottom here we have a French white oak that's also a natural. So these products out of the gate, you could tell, have very, very little characteristics. Now I might be able to point out here in this board here, we have a couple little pin dot type character marks here, and that's really all you're going to get with that collection. What you can expect to see though still is you're still going to have that light to medium plank variation. It's not to say that you're not going to have a product that looks like this in the long run, but you very well may get more planks of the light than you do dark, and there's really no way to guarantee that. You have to remember this is coming out of the forest. They're planing it down and they're milling it and they're finishing it, and there's really no way to dictate exactly what you're going to get. So if a customer sees this, you just have to make them understand that that's within the range of what they're going to get overall. When you apply a stain to something, that's going to lessen the amount of what you see. So where I see these little pin dot markings clearly on this, I may be less likely to see them when you start to apply stains. And the same thing down here with this natural, you can see it just has a few little character markings. So if you have a customer looking for low characteristics, mineral streaks, knots, fissures, things of that nature, you're going to want to go to a product that probably is in the upper echelon of $10 to $12 a square foot. And that's how you're going to get the more premium grade of lumber. If you look stacked to the right here, we actually have another white oak product up top, and this is actually a stain applied to this. The one below it in the Plymouth is a white oak natural, and down the bottom here we have the Denali and a stain that is called Keller. So this is obviously a light brown. So a stain like that is obviously going to help balance out or even out the knots and characteristics. Aren't going to be as prominent and stand out like the products above in the Plymouth series and the natural, where you can see these bold character markings and filled knots and fissures that are also filled, some filled face knots, so it's not quite as rough in texture as the totally filled knots here, but you're still getting that bold character marking. And then the one up top in the Plymouth, you can see that is a prominent mark in the plank, and that has to be something that a customer is really in love with. They want that characteristic, and they want something that looks more casual as opposed to more traditional, contemporary, modern. The beauty of the Plymouth series is actually a live sawn. So they're taking the whole log itself and they're milling that down. They're not taking anything out of it. So for a customer that wants something that really brings out the true beauty of hardwood, the Plymouth series is going to be able to achieve that. When you look though in comparison between the right and the left, you know, if a customer comes in and they're looking for a product that has minimal characteristics, you could see easily that the Symphony series is going to be a cleaner grade, where in the Plymouth, definitely more rustic and it stands out. So I probably would shy away from showing things that are obvious out of the gate in terms of the character markings, because it could only potentially get worse if the customer doesn't like character. They might get a lot more of this than you even see here. And it's also important to note why you only see one here. You may get 70% of the planks that have this, even though it's only showing it on one plank out of the 4 here that are on the board. You might get all those. There's a potential that you could get all clean boards like this, or maybe minimal characteristics like that knot up top. There's really no way to dictate. Just like we said with the low to moderate variation products, there's really no way to dictate what you're going to get in a physical box. We just have to use these samples as a barometer, you know, to when you engage with a customer. How much do you like this? Are you willing to accept that it has character markings, mineral streaks, knots, etc.? Or is that not great for you? Do you need something that's a little more clean that's going to help you achieve the look in your home? So we're going to go over to this end cap here, and a lot of the same, and I pulled out some naturals, and you can see starting at the top, hickory natural in a whiskey mill. Now this is a grade of lumber in hickory where they are rotary peeling that, so you'll have a wavier grain, but it's also a little bit lesser of a quality of hickory in terms of the visual, where maybe a typical hickory customer might not fall in love with this because they want the character markings that are shown on the Georgetown next to it. So you can see up top there's even some open knots, and that is it's a desired characteristic for most customers that are looking for a hickory product. This is actually a low shaded sample. Being out to all the stores, I can tell you that there's several samples out on the floor that have very, very stark contrast in between planks, where you might have an entire plank that falls in the realm of this mineral streak up here or not up here, and then the next plank is light and the next plank is dark. That is how hickory looks. And if you were to go from collection to collection, you would find the same thing, whether it's on the traditional solid wall or engineered wall or even in the specialty. Hickory is a highly, highly varied product. So don't ever rely on a 12 by 24 sample to tell the whole story. If you have a customer you're working with and it seems like they're concerned about that, contact one of the product managers or try and Google a picture of hickory installed in a room setting to show the customer, hey, here's what you can expect. Find things that are installed on your floor and point it out. Here's a hickory installed on the floor. There's various ways to explain to a customer. You just want to make sure you're setting the proper expectations. Going down to birch. Now we have a couple birch products here. The first is Edmonton series, yellow birch natural, and this is a 4-inch wide plank. This is a very clean grade of birch, and you can tell that just by looking at it. There's not a whole lot of variation in the grain. It's very clean, very sleek, and also very straight. If we look at the board to the right, this is a character grade of birch. So what you're going to see on something like that is a lot of the mineral streaks and knots, a lot of more waviness, so to speak, and also burling, a lot more burling, and that are these striations here that you see. It almost looks like tiger stripes on the product, and that is just relevant to the species and relevant to the grade of the lumber. They're going to put those type of characteristics in a product that costs $5.99 a square foot. If you want a cleaner grade of birch, you're going to have to jump into the Edmonton series, much cleaner overall. Same can be said about the Edmonton maple right beneath it. I didn't pull the sample off the wall because it's screwed to the wall, but the Edmonton hard maple natural at $6.49 a square foot. Now we have the Kensington on the in-stock wall. Kensington is a hard maple, but it's a rustic grade. So that is going to have all the same types of characteristics as this birch, if not more. And that is either something that a customer desires to have in their home and they love that look, that it's rustic and maybe it makes their home feel more urban. If someone wants a cleaner reveal, a more modern reveal, you have to get into the products that are a grade of lumber like the Edmonton and the natural that have less of that character in them. Same with the Georgetown below. Again, same provider, same supplier. The Georgetown series in a red oak, very, very clean. The cathedral grain runs pretty linear. It's not very wavy, but if we look at the product next to it, I mean, this is a big jump from Georgetown at $7.99 down to Homestead at $4.99. But we're moving on from something that's 5 inches, 3/4 of an inch thick, with a 4 millimeter veneer down to a 5-inch wide product that is 3/8 of an inch thick and has about a 1.2 millimeter wear layer or veneer on the top. Rotary peeled versus slice cut or dry sawn. So you can see the character markings on here. The grain is very drawn out. It's elongated because of the way that it's made. And then you have all these characteristics in here that, you know, if someone's looking for a cleaner grade of lumber, probably not going to want that a whole lot. It really comes down to the customer's budget and decor and what they're trying to achieve. Somebody really might love the Homestead series because, again, they like those character markings. As we move down the wall here, just some additional series, the Americana, and it's a premium grade of white oak in a 3/4 inch solid. So this is common for white oak to have a plank that is split with this striation, or this half the plank being more of a caramelized color, and then below it a blonde streak. White oak, again, species very typical. Going over to the Nantucket, and this is actually a red oak, and below it I believe is the white oak. But just to show you, when you get into a more rustic grade, you're going to have a lot more of those open knots and fissures that you would not come to expect in the more premium grade of lumber in Americana and some of the other brands we have. You can even see, I pulled this board here, it didn't quite fit on the wall, but the Montauk series, this is an example of extreme rustic characteristics, where this is really, we're going to call it the bottom of the barrel in terms of the lumber. But again, this is one of our better sellers. So some customers obviously like the amount of characteristics that are in there. It's really personal preference. So with this, and I've been out to all the stores, I've seen boards where every single board has those character markings. So you have to set the expectation that there's a good chance that you might get this product, Miss Jones, and every plank could potentially have that. You may get some of these planks down the bottom. Obviously they're showing it on the board here, but the high percentage mark for this is going to be the boards that have more characteristic than not.